Two teams have left the conference in the Big Five college football standings. Somebody that was a 6-time champion and counting. So we're getting the fuck out of this conference. Texas and Oklahoma leaving the Big 12 to go to the SEC. It's almost all but official at this point. Yesterday, Big 12 officials met on the phone talking about something and stuff. Two teams, two schools, two administrators were not involved in that phone call. It was Texas and Oklahoma. This came just a couple hours after it was rumored that Texas and Oklahoma had reached out to the SEC to ask if they could join the SEC. Texas and Oklahoma. Now, there's going to be a ripple effect here that is going to cause a lot of people problems. Okay, Oklahoma 6-time champion. They literally have... If they go and don't go back to the Big 12, they don't get that settled, which it sounds like they will not, and the SEC is a done deal for them. Oklahoma is about to do what Bret Hart was trying to do before that night in Montreal, by the way. Mm-hmm. Oklahoma said, we got your title 6 times.
6 in a row.
6 straight. Yeah, 6 straight. And we're leaving.
Wow.
Taking the championship with them to the SEC, the conference that has demolished basically everybody but Clemson for the last 15, 20 years. The rich get richer, and powerhouses in the SEC, Texas and Oklahoma, bringing a lot of tradition, money, fans, and everything like that. Couple good basketball teams down into the SEC. And what does this mean for the Big 12? What does this mean for Iowa State? A team that hadn't been good for a long, long time. They get a coach. They become good. They got a squad. They're going to go. But the two big dogs, well, Texas hasn't won shit in a long time. They got Steve Sarkisian now. Let's see if old Sarkisian can somehow get Arch Manning to go there. And now that it's in the SEC, maybe this has all happened. Arch Manning might have told Steve Sarkisian, hey, pal, if you want Arch to go, it's going to have to go down to SEC. Who knows? I'm just throwing things out there. But whatever the reason is, the Big 12 now takes a massive shot. That's big money, a lot of eyes. People are going to watch Oklahoma games regardless if they're from Oklahoma or not. They're one of the draws. And the reason why we're talking about this early is because anytime you do talk about college football, normally the ratings just go straight down for this show. People like watching the spectacle that is college football. Not sure everybody loves the day-to-day conversation about college football, but this is a massive ordeal. West Virginia, the school that I went to, I did not graduate, but I got a chance to ride the coattails of incredible football players to magical moments, the biggest and the hottest run that school has ever had football-wise. It was cool to be a part of that. Go ahead and retire Pat White's number, Steve Slayton's number, and Owen Schmidt's number while you're at it, and just continue to do that whole thing if you're West Virginia. But if you are West Virginia, you're trying to get to the ACC right now. And whenever the Big East disbanded and kind of fell apart quickly, just like the Big 12 might. I'm not saying Big 12's been around a long time. It's one of the Power 5 conferences, okay? I was in the Big East. We won 4 straight BCS Bowls, and then just a couple years later, boom, Big East doesn't even exist anymore. Now there's the Power 5 conference. All it takes is for a couple of schools to maybe move for everything to potentially get realigned. What's going to happen with the SEC? Who's going to fall where? Are Alabama, Oklahoma, and Texas and anybody else, Georgia, are they going to run into each other ever? Are they going to realign this thing? What are the seasons going to look like? And with the 12 teams getting into the playoffs, there's going to be some more losses, I think. 3-loss team maybe out of the SEC might find its way into the top 12. And people are not going to be happy about it. I mean, we are just staring that down. But what's going to happen with West Virginia? Allegedly, when the Big East fell apart, and my information might not all be correct, but from what I was hearing, the ACC didn't want us.
Whoa. Really?
I think, if I do recall, the ACC, and somebody will probably fact check me there, but I think the ACC was not about us joining the ACC. And then if you look right above us, the Big Ten is just basically all right there. Did the Big Ten not want us either? What's going on? And then south of us is actually, ACC, SEC too. That's pretty close. If we would end up in the Pac-12, that would have been the only more interesting thing. When West Virginia ended up in the Big 12 and Oliver Luck made the deal and the move, I don't know how much money was involved. I've heard it was a lot. Yeah. I was so confused. That is insane. It's an insane setup. Not a lot of Morgantown fans get to travel to a lot of games anymore, but business-wise, we got into a Power 5 conference. We started doing well in that Power 5 conference, doing our thing, but everybody's got to be wondering, should they be getting the fuck out of Dodge here? Iowa State should be like, we can get in the Big 10 right there. West Virginia is in the ACC already plate pretty much if we really need to make that happen. And there's some other teams over there that they might start dabbling and dancing otherwhere. Is this what this is going to lead to? You have to automatically assume that. COVID Cowboy at Tone Diggs, your thoughts?
Yeah, I already got to figure it out. So the SEC now has 16 teams with Oklahoma and Texas. The ACC has 15. They pick up West Virginia. They now have 16. The Big Ten right now has 14. They pick up Iowa State and say K-State. Now they have 16. The rest of those teams move to the Pac-12. They would have 17 teams. Maybe one team gets left out. We're all equal. Kansas, good at basketball, though. I immediately thought Kansas, but they're good at basketball.
Yeah. Football-wise, though.
TCU,
Kansas State,
small,
maybe?
Baylor's probably.
Baylor's really good. People are going to want Baylor,
Mm-hmm.
especially with the basketball.
But everything's even if you kind of do it that way. Plus, then there's just one extra.
So then the Big 12's gone. There's going to be some people that are going to mourn that. But the people that are mourning that are who? Texas, Oklahoma people, right? Aren't they kind of the original founders of this whole thing? And they're like, now get us the fuck out of here. Okie State probably not exactly thrilled. They're probably looking at Oklahoma like, you motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Because that now they won't play each other.
Well, they could still do like the Bedlam game, I guess. But
West Virginia Pitt.
They stopped once.
Yeah, because then the contracts start rolling in, and then you start picking up games. It becomes like a whole thing, and that was a massive game. West Virginia, Maryland used to be a massive game. Any border game. Virginia Tech, because they were in the Big East, and when they went to the ACC, everybody's like, "Oh, these are massive rivalry-like games." Mm-hmm. Now Bedlam's huge. Red River rivalry's moving over to the SEC.
That's
SEC gets to market that now too. Jeez. Which is awesome, absolutely awesome. The SEC will try to get Ohio State, Michigan if they can.
Whoa.
They will try to figure that out if they could go for it. But yeah, now you're starting to see like 3 power conferences go. And then does that mean that the Cincinnatis and the Coastal Carolinas and maybe the BYUs have a better chance because there's only 3 and then you can kind of separate from there? Or are we assuming that's just going to be 5 probably from one, 4 from one, 3 from the other, and it's just going to be status quo in this whole thing?
Yeah, I mean, you're like Cincy could try to leave the AAC or whatever or like the Mountain West could try to pick up some of these Big 12 teams that are left over to try to strengthen them. Like, there's a bunch of different options. It's going to be exciting to see what happens.
All right, so let's say West Virginia bails.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Neil Brown, I trust the climb, but I don't think we're going to be flying all that fucking way for this.
No point.
We got Texas and Oklahoma, right? I mean, Texas and Oklahoma are they're the marquee people in there. West Virginia as well, obviously, and I hate to break it to anybody else that's in the Big 12 who has a great fan base. Okay, I understand that. I got a lot of respect for that. But Texas and Oklahoma leaving is a fucking massive, massive shot across the bow of credibility. I mean, it really is.
Huge.
Hate to say it because I'm in the Big 12 at this point with West Virginia. We never played there, but I'm in there. The credibility now of the Big 12 is going to be called into question immediately. Were their contracts up at the same time? Can people just leave conferences whenever they want? And if their contracts were up at the same time, how did they let that happen, that those two would be up at the same time? That's like kind of, structuring the future of your business or company. Can't have that happen, all right? Can't have those two potentially be up at the same time. Like, is West Virginia locked in, or can we potentially bail before the season starts too?
Could be like a Blake Griffin situation where they got to pay their way out.
And the Longhorn Network, they don't give a damn.
No
the
time.
SEC Network doesn't give a damn. They got money for days down there in the SEC. Go ahead, Ty.
But that is a good point, though, because I don't know, like you would think that this is going to be wrapped up in some sort of legalese for like a long time. Like when it said like, oh, this is basically already done, like that was very shy. I mean, I know
it came out of nowhere.
And they said they'd been working on it for 6 months, kind of like behind the scenes and everything. But you would think, that these contracts run through because with, like you're saying, without Oklahoma and Texas, like the Big 12 isn't a power conference anymore.
No.
It really isn't.
No, in Oklahoma has won 6 straight, okay? And Oklahoma has been the only representative of the Big 12 in the college playoff. So, I mean, this is quite from a football on-field perspective, especially with that freshman quarterback that is now going to be a sophomore, Lincoln Riley sticking around, turning down a lot of other jobs to stay there. Obviously, football-wise, you're affected by Oklahoma. Texas, all right?
Right.
Texas has been, they've won games, but they have been a massive disappointment.
Yeah.
So football-wise, definitely affected. But just like the Texas, they're never not a sellout down there.
Yeah,
I mean, that is never not a sellout. Longhorn never is ever. Oklahoma, that is never not a sellout. That primetime games are Texas and Oklahoma are going to get a lot more opportunities because of how big their fan base is. I mean, it is not just on the field, a massive, massive kick to the the baby maker, but also off the field with aura and presence and business. It's huge. This is a massive ordeal. Did West Virginia know about this beforehand, or horns flying down harder than ever? You sons of bitches ruined the Big 12. We're stuck here for 4 more years, and teams are bailing left and right. Is that what's going to happen here, or how do they rebuild this?
From ESPN, they reported Thursday that both Texas and Oklahoma would likely owe the Big 12 upwards of $76 million apiece to buy out of the remainder of the media rights agreement, which runs until 2025.
So that $76 million is coming to West Virginia, but all that money comes right back to the other schools, right?
Yeah, should.
I think so. Even split.
Yeah, because I remember when we signed up, we were signed up for Oklahoma and Texas.
Yeah.
Times have changed now.
Boom.
Hey, we are in much different situations now than we were there. If I'm West Virginia, I'm trying to get to the ACC now, right?
Back up.
What are we doing? Let's get to the ACC. Is there anything negative that I am not realizing in my overreactive, short-thinking brain? Why don't we just move that team that's right in the middle of it, just drop them in there?
And the ACC now has 16 even teams, 8 and 8.
You're welcome. And our team's pretty fucking good, by the way, both football and basketball and women's basketball. And we have a lot of great sports.
Rifle.
I don't know how the ACC rifle team is. That whoever is the head rifle squad in the ACC, they probably have quite a problem with us coming to town.
Sure.
Because the big bad wolf on the rifles are coming to town. Of course. And we are now your champions. Oh, those are cool rings. We'll take them. That's what our rifle team will do if they drop in anywhere. But other than that, it's a perfect and by the way, great fan base. They will travel. Hell, I mean, we got people in Charlotte, West Virginia and Charlotte. It is maybe the same damn city. They get so many people. Let's get West Virginia to the ACC. Texas and Oklahoma want to leave the Big 12. There has to be something wrong with the Big 12 because Texas and Oklahoma are the fucking Big 12. If they're trying to get out of there, we got to see the writing on the wall as West Virginia. We got to see this and get the hell out. And Iowa State, I don't like it. You guys are good. You got a coach. Somehow he's turned down NFL things. You guys got to get into the Big Ten, by the way. I need you in the Big Ten this year. Need this to happen. I mean, everybody else out there, K-State, got a squad. All right, we're moving a little bit. Okie State, is the mullet good or not? They were supposed to be great. The offense was unbelievable. The run game was good. Still never really won any big games. What's going on down there? Baylor's basketball team. That might carry them into the ACC as well. Maybe they even get into the ACC.
They could.
Maybe Baylor gets in there because who knows? I don't know what they're going to do. So I'm sorry to everybody else, but God damn it, the school everything's going to change from this. This is going to be a massive ordeal. And if it's only $76 million, that is a massive amount of money. But if you put 2 to 3 boosters together from a big name school, they're all billionaires. $76 million can be found very quickly. If people are going to start moving, we might see that super conference we started hoping for last year whenever Uncle COVID came to town, and some people wanted to play and some people didn't. The people that wanted to play were all the great schools. The people that didn't want to play weren't really. So we thought there was a chance that maybe some Big Ten schools, whenever they came out and announced, would go down to the SEC and play. Ohio State was like, we're playing. Nebraska was like, we're playing. Iowa, we're playing. And the SEC is like, we're playing. A couple Big 12 schools were like, we're playing. We thought we were going to get a super conference, and then cooler heads prevailed. Much slower in the Big Ten than everywhere else.
A lot slower.
But we had that thing. Super conferences are not far behind. We talk about super teams in this instant gratification society that we live in right now, where we want to know everything right now. We want to win everything right now. We are all about right now. Players started getting like it. I loved it. It's like, hey, who knows how long your career is? If you want to travel to a team that is good and win, you deserve it. It's your legacy that they're going to talk about whenever you retire. Did he win any rings? Oh, yeah, he did. But remember, he played with good players to win those rings. That's a lot better conversation. Did he win any rings? No. Okay. So there's a lot of benefit of just going to these super teams for players in the NFL, in the NBA, and everything like that. Now we're seeing it kind of reach a conference place where it's like, hey, we have the opportunity and the ability to create something that nobody else can. Let's go ahead and do it. $76 million, pay me, get me the fuck out of here. $76 million, pay me, get me out of here. What other teams will look to do that to go elsewhere? What other leagues are going to be trying to maybe pry or recruit some schools to there? The Pac-12 is basically dead. Like, I hate to say it about the Pac-12 because Pac-12 After Dark is a good time, and I'm sure their schools and campuses are awesome, and we've learned a lot about some of their water polo schools and everything like that over there in the Pac-12. But some of those schools might get plucked out of there too, right? Are we looking at an inevitable super conference or super conference 2 of them?